Hi guys, it's me again, the TheLuchamediageek, doing my Monday slots. Last week I said it was Sunday, but it's actually Monday for the Burns redo. Now, before I start to review this week's movie, we need to take a moment of genuine reflection and concern for the misfortunes of all linked and connected with tonight's movie. They've all been very unlucky. For example, let's ponder the career of Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck's pretty cool, I hear you say. He was in Magnum P.I. and he still rocks an awesome tash. But his career does have a certain amount of bad timing and misfortune. And let's also ponder the lives of Cynthia Rhodes and Joey Kramer. Who the hell are you talking about, Lucha? That's what you're asking. But I'll explain more as I go into tonight's review, which is the excellent 1984 movie Runaway. Excellent in that this movie is so quintessentially 80s, it's painful. I love this movie. This movie was actually selected by another one of the members of the channel, and Jack said, you're actually going to have this movie, man, because it's pretty obscure. And I'm like, yep, I already have it on my drive, because I love 80s sci-fi cheese, and that's exactly what this film is. But allow me to explain a little something about this movie. This movie stars Tom Selleck as Captain Ramsey, a policeman. And this guy's misfortunate, because before I go into the review, I'll explain something. You know who was supposed to be Indiana Jones? Harrison Ford, I hear you cry. Wrong! Bringing over with the wrong ability. You know who was supposed to be Indiana Jones originally? Tom Selleck. But he was the first choice. They'd already picked him. He'd done his screen test, but he was already contracted for Magnum P.I. He'd done the pilot, and basically they renewed it, which meant that he didn't get the chance to become a megastar and have one of the biggest, film careers in history. So, that's a little bit, unfortunate. But anyway, on to the plot of Runaway. Runaway is written and directed by Michael Crichton, who of course is the writing and media behemoth. He came up with Jurassic Park, the ER TV show, that really bad Michael Douglas sexual harassment movie Disclosure. He did a whole bunch of stuff. And this was him writing and directing. Now, what it is Runaway takes place in an unspecified but very 80s flavoured date sometime in the near future, where robots have become usable appliances. They're used for lots of mundane tasks, like babysitting. That becomes very important later in the movie. Babysitting, construction. Robots are pretty much used for everything, which makes you ponder the question as to why isn't there massive unemployment in the future, but that's never really addressed. But anyway, of course, robots are fallible and they go wrong, which leads us to Tom Selleck's character. He deals with the Runaways, which is the police department's name for robots that have malfunctioned, and he deals with them. I actually really like Tom Selleck. Like I said, I think he's a good, charismatic actor, and I think he's been very unlucky. Where a certain amount of other misfortune comes, before I further explain the plot, is a lot of people will go, Runaway, what, who? And assume this was a low-budget movie. Runaway actually had a very large budget. It had a star in Tom Selleck who was very big on TV at the time. Magnum was one of the, bigger shows, and Runaway was seen as big science fiction, big money behind it, and this is his crossover into mainstream features. So it's science fiction, it's got robots, and it also has a score provided by Jerry Goldsmith. This is the guy who did the music for The Omen and the Star Trek movies, and it's a synth score. So you've got a very talented writer and director, or at least at that point, a very powerful writer and director. You've got a big star, you've got a lot of money behind it. This movie should have been awesome. It should be you know, a movie that we name drop like Star Wars. Here's the thing. There was another movie released in 1984 which dealt with robots going awry. I've never actually heard of it. It had some Austrian guy called Arnold Schwarzenegger. Apparently he's recently stepped down from politics, I don't know him. And was directed by some guy called James Cameron. Did some kind of movie about Smurfs on a boat drowning. I might actually be two separate movies, but I do remember a lot of Smurfs on a boat, but that's just me. But anyway, the same year Terminator comes out and blows the movie out the water. Now I'm not saying Runaway is a better movie than Terminator. It isn't. But, you know, Runaway was supposed to be the hit. It was supposed to be the massive, you know, movie, big success. Although here's where the movie gets cool and here's why I love it. It's so 80s it hurts. It has, like I say, a quintessentially synth score, because synths were the future. This was the 80s. The plot is really simple. Like I say, Ramsey, the character played by Tom, deals with these runaway robots. And here's the thing. The villain of the piece, a Dr. Luther, not Lex Luthor, Dr. Luther, is played by none other than Gene fucking Simmons. That's right, the guy from Kiss is the bad guy. And here's why I love this movie, right? Okay, now in modern filmmaking, there's often a need to explain the villain, right? His motivations and why he's doing it. You know, he's disgruntled or something's made him bitter and twisted. You know why the villain does bad stuff in this movie? Why he's making evil robots that kill people and then selling those designs onto the mob? You know why he's doing it? Because he wants to. Because the guy from Kiss has decided he's done from being in Kiss and wants to make evil robots. That's it, that's how he rolls. There's no real reason for him doing what he does. He's just bad. This guy, Dr. Luthor, is so cool. He has heat-seeking bullets. Bullets that go around corners. There's even a bullet cam where you can literally see the person trying to run from the bullet as it's chasing them. And what's supposed to be like some kind of weird, threatening moment on film turns into like some kind of weird, pervy POV version of Benny Hill. It's awesome. And he has spider robots. I will explain this. There are, in this movie, spider robots that shoot acid. How cool is that? On many, many levels. So, yeah, Gene Simmons actually avoided what I'm going to call the curse of Runaway. So, like I said, we already know that things didn't quite happen for Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck's son in the movie is portrayed by a Joey Lawrence. You might remember Joey Lawrence from another great 80s movie, Flight of the Navigator. That's right, the kid from that plays Ramsey's son. And here's the thing. Ramsey's son in this movie is really creepy, not only because he can't act, in all the interplay of the scenes between him and his dad, all he wants to talk about is, Dad, when are you getting me a new mum? When am I getting a stepmom? Clearly not that bothered about his mum dying. You know, I just want a new replacement mum, you know, something to fulfill my clear Oedipus complex. But I digress. And here's where the curse of the movie comes in. This guy was in quite a few movies in the 80s. He should be quite a, you know, at least well off now. You know what that guy does now? He works in a sports store in his hometown. Yeah. Big success there. But there you go. Big success there, Mr. Lawrence. And then we go on to the last victim of the Runaway curse, which is Cynthia Rhodes, who starred in Saturday Night, basically not Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive, the awesome sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and a couple of other things prior to this. And you know what happened to her? She ended up married to Richard Marx, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be married to Richard Marx. Okay, maybe I do a little bit, but so I say, the plot, it's difficult to go into because all you've got is evil spider robots being designed by the guy from Kiss, and he wants to sell them. Ramsey's trying to stop him. That's pretty much the movie. And you're probably thinking, why should I watch this? You really should, because it's really fun, and not just in an 80s, you know, kitsch nostalgia value kind of way. There are actually some really good set pieces. There's a scene where Tom Selleck is protecting a witness portrayed by Kirstie Alley, and we all know how things worked out with Kirstie Alley, so I don't need to keep running with the curse Runaway thing. But they're in the car, and the villains are sending out these drones, these tiny drones that hunt out the car and try and destroy it. You've got Tom Selleck leaping from car to car. And these scenes weren't done by a stunt double. Fair play, he's actually doing it. The other great scene, and here is my slight problem with the movie. Tonally, it's all over the place. It really is. You're not supposed to take it too seriously because it's robots, and there's like a nanny robot that's played as comedy relief, but a few of the scenes are really dark. For example, the movie opening, you have this domestic bot, this nanny bot, which has lost it, and he's waving a gun round. And there's a baby in the house. And the one thing I like about the way Tom Selleck plays character is he's genuinely afraid of these things. He realises how dangerous they are, and he goes in the house to deactivate the robot. And the scene takes up a big chunk of the running time. This one bit is like 6-7 minutes of what's a pretty short movie, but the tension's really racking it up. This is dangerous, and you know, people could die. In fact, people do die, but I'll let you see that scene. Like I said, tonally it is all over the place, but it's such fun. It's the guy from Kiss with spider robots that shoot acid, and I know I keep going on about it, but it really just sat watching this movie with a big goofy smile on my face. They don't make movies like this anymore, and perhaps there's a good reason for that, but it is such fun. I would give, in terms of actual filmmaking, it's directed really quite badly. I think it was Michael Crichton's first time out, and you really can see that. So in terms of actual filmmaking and quality, I'd have to give it like a 4.5 out of 10, but for how much you're going to enjoy this film when you actually watch it, I've got to give it a 7. It really was fun. I really did enjoy reviewing this movie. Although one thing I will say is stick around for the end credits. Basically, Ramsey and his female partner, they get together in the end of the movie, and they have the longest snogging session ever. The longest make-out session over the credits. I actually timed it. It goes on for like 4 or 5 minutes. I know they've been through a lot of, you know, pressure and danger, but you need to breathe eventually, guys. Come on. I mean, I'm assuming that was done by some kind of visual effects, because they both had to die shooting this scene. If I sound giddy while reviewing this movie, I should point out I haven't a lot of sugar today, so that's why I'm a little wired. So until next time, this is me for the BurnsRedux saying see ya.